Please listen carefully.
Well, hello, universe. Welcome to the Optimist Daily Update. I'm Summers Kristy.
And I'm Kristy Jansen, and we're part of the team behind the Optimist Daily, making solutions the news. We bring you reader-funded solutions news every day in order to change the tenor of news media, social media, and the direction of your day to make it one focus on solutions.
7 days a week, we publish positive news stories written by award-winning journalists and delivered online to your inbox and through our social channels. And also, we are sharing these solutions in a commute-worthy, walk-worthy, home office-worthy. We're back on video again today because we're shooting some more stuff-worthy podcast. Today is Thursday, the 19th of November, 2020.
Well, that one had you tripped up for a minute there, huh?
I know, it did. It did. I mean, I don't know why I couldn't remember that it was Thursday, except for that this day started a little bit early, a little bit frantic. I was up last night because we have these new high-def cameras, and I was rearranging my office because I kind of look like a crazy vision board hoarding lady with everything that's behind me. Last night at, 11 p.m., Kristy's getting Skype calls from me.
I know.
Is everything okay?
Are you okay? It's like you're nonstop spam calling me.
Just ignore me. I'm checking my camera. How is Tucker this morning, Kristy? How was your walk this morning?
It was good, although it's quite damp out. So I had my hair all prepped for our video, and now it's all curly. So, oh well.
Well, I think you look fabulous, and I think it's going to be a pretty good day. Stuff is a little weird here in California because of returning to lockdown for the coronavirus pandemic. We have this lockdown coming back, but I don't think any of us exactly know what this version of it looks like.
Yeah.
And with the holidays, it's changing people's plans for sure. I had a couple socially distant events, but nonetheless events that were canceled over the weekend.
Yeah, we're thinking of doing that. We usually have a fantastic 115-person Thanksgiving gala. Obviously, that's not happening this year. But we're going to meet with two of our other two households and outside. And I think we may even call that one off. It's just really painful, but I don't want to risk anything. I do have a friend who's recovered from COVID who I was talking with last night. And she spent the entire month of June in her bedroom by herself because she has two children and a husband who's, So she actually was on the floor not being able to do anything for most of that month. She's recovered, but she still has the brain fog and her optic nerves are swollen or something odd like that.
Oh my goodness.
So anyway, it's not fun.
No.
It doesn't sound fun. And,
no.
And she's a young woman who's healthy in other ways, so it's just bizarre.
I think that I've been really inspired and impressed by seeing so many of the people I know and love just say, all right, guys, here we go. Here we go. It's time to put your masks on, hunker down. We're not far. There is exciting advancements in the vaccine pursuit.
Absolutely.
We're not far, right? We're in the home stretch. And why risk it? Because in just a few months' time, we are going to have a vaccine and we're going to all be able to start returning to a healthy new normal. And
healthy normal.
Yeah.
I look forward to hugs again.
Yeah. Hugging normal. Exactly.
Unfortunately, and I know that both of our stories today are going to be touching on education.
Yes.
Unfortunately, it does mean that certain schools are being shut down again. That's unfortunate, especially when other businesses are not being shut down because we're afraid of the economic consequences. But I really think we have to conquer this virus situation before we can really get back to anything like a normal economy.
Some schools have waivers. I know that my oldest daughter is able to continue to go to school, but she goes to a very small school, and there are never more than 75 kids on this huge campus at a time because they have broken out the cohorts. But nonetheless, we also as a family have made a decision that if there's more than one case reported at her school, we'll probably go ahead and have her continue to stay home. But that just means we're going to have some crazy internet, that everyone's going to be on it. But we'll get through it. We know how to do this. We'll be okay. And there's lots of things to be optimistic about. Actually, one of the biggest things that we've talked about getting through the worst times, and A friend asked me, what is your method of optimism right now? And it is just fundamentally gratitude, right? At the end of the day, optimism is about gratitude for where we're at right now. And today is Thankful Thursday, is it not? So, Kristy, what's the rundown for Thankful Thursday? What is everyone's prompt today?
Today's prompt is to write a letter of thanks or gratitude to a teacher or an educator who's influenced your life in the recent past, in the distant past. Doesn't matter. It could be one of your children's teachers or just somebody who's a fantastic educator who maybe hasn't touched you directly, but who you know is bringing wisdom and knowledge into the world. That's the prompt for today. Write a letter of thanks to someone connected to education.
I love that. I was thinking in the shower this morning who I wanted to write to, and I couldn't decide between like my high school physics teacher or biology teacher, and I am just not. Science was always very challenging for me because prior to a head injury that I had in my 30s, math was very confounding. Math and science were just kind of out of reach, but I loved how they taught. I loved what they brought. And then I was thinking my Spanish teachers and my Italian teachers and the world that they opened up for me by teaching me language. I'm so grateful that I had those educators just at a young age drill into me conjugating Spanish verbs, right? So that it made me want to travel. It made me a better communicator. So I think the letter, even though I would like to write 36 letters to all of my teachers, I think the letter I'm going to write is to my Spanish teachers. And I don't actually have their physical addresses anymore, and most of them have retired. But I do see them on Facebook, so I might IM them and ask them for their address so I can do that handwritten love letter and send it their way. So
that's nice. For whatever reason, I have like 3 very good friends from college who all became teachers.
Ooh.
1 or 2 are English. No, they're all English teachers, actually, now that I think about it. But they're great people, and they have dedicated their lives to shaping our future generations. They teach with passion. My friend Scott, he's the one who really introduced me to spoken word poetry. Mm-hmm. And we went to a number of sort of Grand Slam poetry events together.
Oh, I love the idea of you in like a dark bar downstairs doing poetry slam. You probably had some sort of like goth makeup on.
My short skirt, black tights, and
totally.
Doc Martens.
Totally. Oh, I so see you at a poetry slam. I love it, Kristy.
And my friend Cindy, who's also a wonderful educator. So I just feel like there's people that I love who are teachers, and I'm going to be writing to several of them. I have a handful to write to.
Well, getting to the business of the day, we should talk about our Optimist Daily headlines. And I think we've both picked headlines that are appropriate for our Thankful Thursday topic.
Yeah. Well, the headline that I wanted to touch on reads, "What to do with the unused offices? This architect turns them into schools." And this is about an architect named Danish Kurani. And what Danish is doing is using some of the recently vacated overabundance of office space, which frankly is likely to never be needed at the levels it was needed, up until last year. Yeah. But turning that into education space. Right now, he's working on a project in San Francisco in the suburb of Fillmore, turning an office building into the Acton Academy East Bay. This is his first full office school transformation during the pandemic, but he has experience doing a similar sort of thing in office buildings in Mountain View. And also he was involved with creating the Black Girls Code Lab inside Google's New York offices. The reason I just find this story inspirational is that it's the idea of repurposing one thing which has waste or we don't need any longer and putting it to good use. It's economical, it's effective, and I think it also may be an insight into the future of education and schooling. Having smaller settings of like specialized academies where you have the social interaction and you have directed education, but in the midst of other offices. I know that they're also talking about turning office space into dwelling, into apartments. So you have this mixed use and it's sort of more local. You get what you need without creating like a factory school. Mm-hmm. I think that moving away from the big multiple thousands of students on one campus
all learning the exact
all learning the
same
thing
and following the same
more
rigor.
targeted learning, more focused learning, kids who are being taught and learning I think that's a more effective model of education anyway.
Yeah.
And kids can get, I don't know, like Hogwarts, you get into the tracks that make the most sort of use your particular talents.
I love that you pulled Hogwarts out. That's great. It's totally Harry Potter season around here. We do that when we Christmas decorate.
I don't know. I mean, I think that this is an opportunity to repurpose these office buildings and you can, it's not that expensive to turn it around and make them effective learning square footage.
Well, and if you think about it, the density of schools and the way that we previously, we ran an article on the Optimist Daily at the beginning of the pandemic talking about the value of outside education, right? Mm-hmm. And that schools and classrooms could be outside. Well, I think just as we rethink office space as like we're sitting here in my orchid vision board abundance here, but just as we're rethinking office space, we can rethink education space. And I love that you picked this story because it is about finding a solution within the excess that is created by a problem. I think this is a great solution. And I love the idea of, if you have an office space and you have workspace and, perhaps even for younger educators and for young children to be educated, we don't have to drop them off at these sort of daycare warehouses, right? There's other options and space can just be viewed differently. Well, good job, Danish Karani. And that's a fun name.
It is. What's the highlight you wanted to bring out today? What's the
I
headline?
Also am talking education today. My headline reads, to improve education in developing countries, invest in teachers. Now, it's very difficult to really define what levers to pull to improve education access to school, right? Is it everybody needs a bike so they can get to school? Is it girls have period security so that they can stay in school and don't have to stay home during their menstrual cycles? Is it making sure that there's food at the school so children are able to eat while they're at school? There are so many different elements that go into ensuring that education is viable and effective for children. But there was a recent study from the World Bank Group that attempted to solve the problem of comparison. What levers are the most important? What works the best? And they're called interventions, right? What are the interventions? What are the additional things you do to improve an education experience? So they compared more than 150 interventions in developing countries and determined that the single most valuable thing they can do is invest in teachers. Now, that doesn't mean just pay teachers more. That means investing in their education, their tools, and their capacity to train and teach. It's not just about salary. It is about investing in their curriculum development, in their collaboration. And right now we see teachers scrambling like crazy, trying to figure out how to teach online or teach hybrid or teach, in class and social distance. And the actual education of teachers is one of the best investments that you can have to improve an education system. And there's no question that improving an education system fundamentally improves the whole social structure of any given community. So it's pretty exciting. World Bank report cites a paper about one curriculum development intervention in Kenya called the TUSUM National Literacy Program, which introduced national expectations for student performance, official classroom visits, and feedback to teachers. And basically, the literacy program was able to improve education simply by making teachers aware that they are in a professional role and help them have higher expectations for their results. I love this story because it reminds us, again, it's not about just throwing money at a problem. It's about throwing a solution at a problem and helping teachers and honoring teachers for their professional development. And I just think this is really great. I know that when I first was teaching online for UCLA, I was all thumbs. It was a total mess. And I feel for my students, but there actually was nobody teaching me how to teach online. I had to figure it out myself. I just think that investing in curriculum education for teachers is really exciting. So invest in your teachers, thank your teachers, have new classrooms for teachers, and that and a lot much more on the Optimist Daily. What else do we have today?
Just before we move on, I just think this is important. The other thing that this report points out is that it's actually very cost effective to spend the money on educating teachers, on helping them learn how to teach more effectively, that gives you more leverage on the spend than many of the other interventions that they were focused on. So I think that's just a great solution. Thank you so much for sharing it today, Summers. Other top solutions today.
There's a monkey.
Yes.
There's a little monkey and so cute.
It's a cute, ugly monkey. Right. I don't know. I have to say that it's adorable because it's kind of funny looking.
It kind of has like a cat-like human face, but scientists identify an incredibly rare monkey species in Myanmar named the Popa younger, or Trachypithecus popa.
There's an article about how men can support their female colleagues remotely. This hydrogel helps the skin heal without leaving behind scars. Quebec bans the sale of new gas-powered vehicles by 2035 in an effort to get their people off of fossil fuel.
Yeah, that's faster. Oh, no, it is what California also committed to. So, yeah, game on.
And there's a technology that is aiming to turn vaccines into a powdered form, which will help keep them effective longer. It'll improve the shelf life of many vaccines. The EU is planning to increase its offshore wind capacity by 250%, again, moving towards renewable energy and away from the carbon economy. And that is it for today's Optimist Daily. We are so thankful for all of our listeners today, and thank you for listening to the Optimist Daily Update. We promise to keep sharing these ideas on how you can participate in this changing world to help ensure that it's changed for the good. We promise to cover current events with accuracy, legitimate sources, and offer you the information you need most to chart new paths for all of us.
I'm sure you can hear Cleo whining in the background, but nonetheless, Cleo, my dog, also wants you to please consider becoming an emissary on the OptimistDaily.com. And for just $5 a month, or $15 or $50, support reader-funded independent journalism. Be part of the solution-changing consciousness and addressing our world's biggest challenges with a problem-solving mindset. Let's keep the Optimist Daily free to all who need it, supported by those who can. Thanks, everybody. Have a great Thursday, and we will see you tomorrow.